Hey guys, Ronnie here with your hopefully becoming your favorite YouTube channel here shortly, RTR Gearheads. Today, short little update. We did order some stuff for the Trans Am here to kind of get rid of our clearance issues, hopefully here shortly. Get the hood to shut, get the shaker back on, everything like that. Today though, Tom is on his way over here. Dad is away for some military stuff right now for the week, but we still got work to do. We're going to be continuing the body work on the S-10 bed here, hopefully get a little rust panel replaced, and pretty much get everything else left in primer. I still have the tailgate to sand down. I've got the bumper to kind of get cleaned up and scuffed up, that way that we can lay some paint on that as well, get everything for this S-10, the old S-10 here, in order to be the same color finally and not look like, someone's graffiti project in their backyard. Yeah, we were sanding everything down, found pretty much the only spot of some rust here. All hard over here, started to get soft. Then, the holes started out smaller, but when we started sanding down and busting through it, it started to brown stuff. It was a bigger one. We've got a little bit here behind the gas door that we're going to handle, but that's not terrible. But otherwise, we've got a pretty clean bed. It's not as dented up on the front side here, where most would, just from stuff slamming into it and everything. Don't see any evidence of that. A little bit of ding dents, but yeah, not much. We didn't really have any rot on their side. I think that's one little pinhole, but everything around it was solid. So yeah, we're gonna get the olds here pulled out, just to make a little bit more room. But then yeah, we're gonna be getting to work as soon as Tom gets here, finishing up. We are gonna do some Raptor liner here on the inside. We've got all the stuff here ready to go. Yeah, we're mainly worried about the outside surfaces, but then I'll be able to do that. We will be cutting out this floor at some point and have some better plans for it, just make it look nicer, more classic, more, everything on the truck is already custom as it is. So definitely got to go through that. We will have some updates on the Trans Am soon. Like I said, we're waiting on some stuff to show up for it to help with the hood clearance issues. And then soon, hopefully, we will have some stuff on the Civic, which is back there. Everything's kind of covered up just from all the dust we had going on, working on the bed. But yeah, soon we will have some more in this video for you, doing some body work, putting in a panel, and hopefully sanding down, doing another coat of primer, and seeing what's next. So we'll be right back with you.
Hey YouTube Nation, this is Tom with RTR Gearheads. You can't see my face because it's ugly and you don't need to see it anyway. Anyway, today we had a rust hole right here, which is common for the S10s here and here, but this one doesn't have it here, but this is where they rust out. This particular one has a section right here and here. So really, if you're going to repair that, you're not going to just go take any kind of piece of metal and just throw it in there. The proper way to do it, really. And if I had sheet metal screws, I'd have put a sheet metal screw here, 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 wherever, just to hold it up there as tight as I possibly can. But these clamps have done a good job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut here, and then I'm going to take the die grinder cutter right across here, about halfway, about like that nice section there. And what you're doing is you're essentially making your own pattern so that you're not having excessive gaps. And because you got to go back and spot weld, you always want to use a really nice thin wheel on that, because that keeps you from having to go back and weld up huge gaps. Anyway, let's get into this. Enough of the introduction. Let's do some hacking here. Cutting the pattern out, getting through the first sheet of metal, the first layer of metal, you can see it's kind of popped out here. It's also going to be hot, and we have a perfect pattern that's now going to go right back where it should, and it's hot. There we go. So when I remove this metal has already got a nice pattern, and this will fit right back in there. Boom. And it's going to tack up there really nice so you won't have all these gaps and all that stuff. So we'll be back in a few minutes. I'll pull this panel off. I'll cut this old rust out. And then Ronnie Jr. is going to start the grinding process and cleaning up the edges for welding. All right, we'll be right back. Thanks for watching. So what Junior just did now is cut out the rest of the rod on that thing, and now what he's going to do, he's going to change pads rather, on the grinder, and we're going to put a beveled edge all the way around on this piece, beveled in like that. This is going to be cleaned up, and then we'll take the black piece that I just cut out. He'll bevel that in towards here, so that when we go to tack weld that on there, we'll have something not only that the weld can fill into, but it'll hold it good. We'll probably clean the pattern all the way from this all the way around, stripping the primer off so we have a nice clean mating surface to weld onto. And also when you're doing welding, cleanliness is important to get a nice clean weld. And we'll see what happens here in a little bit. All right, this is Tom and Ron with RTR Gearheads. We'll see you back.
Sorry for the noise, got the heater going right now. I think it's actually ready to shut it off for a second. All we're doing now is we've got the pieces perfectly cut with the template that we had with the metal sitting there. It's a tight fit to get in there. Pretty much everything. Once we do a little bit more work here, get all these beveled and everything, it'll fit a lot better to actually weld penetrates and makes it have a better stick. Instead of just welding it like this, where it's just two flat pieces and you're filling the gap, we're going to be putting them to where they're pieces that fit together, and then it'll fill their gap and actually combine the two instead of just kind of tacking this in line with it. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to take this wheel in the grinder now. We're going to bevel this edge one way, facing inward. Then we're going to take this one, facing outward. That way when we put it together, they just can join together, get themselves a nice seal.
So that's good. So give it a little less of an angle. That's good. Yep. So while he's grinding, I'll do a little bit of background here. The reason why you don't want to gouge the metal, because you've got to fix that. You got to repair that. You got to weld it and grind it back in. So you want to just clean up and put a nice bevel on it. All you would take off the little metal shards that are there, and then after he's done that, he's going to go around the square cut area and then clean up about 1 inch down to bare metal again. so that we can actually have a good weld and have a good surface to weld with. All right, we'll be right back. You always want to work and try to keep that grind as even as possible. Preparation is 90% of the game and 10% perspiration. So Junior's doing a fantastic job getting that all cleaned up. And then we get that bevel set. He's going to do another lighter bevel on the edge like he's doing right now. And then he's going to get the paint stripper and give me about a 1-inch border all the way around. You can see where he's got that metal cleaned and burnished out now. He's going to go all the way around the other side. And then like I said, he'll take the paint strip apart and put a nice border out there so we have good weld. It'll be clean, good adhesions for the paint and all that. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. All right, so he'll be back in a minute. We're going to switch out disc and then clean that up, and then he's going to do the other piece that he showed you earlier. He'll cut that out. Not cut, he's going to grind it, and then we'll start welding in. All right, this is Junior with RTR Gearheads, and he said, see you later.
Yep.
Now back to a little bit more prep work. Like I said, 90% preparation. If you don't prepare everything good, you're not going to get good results. And you're really doing a good job. It's cleaned out really well. So guys, if you ever want to, do your own Bondo work, strip paint, this paint stripper is wonderful. It doesn't take any metal off. It takes the rust off, paint, anything you want to remove. Really good stuff. You always want to keep in mind that when you're doing rust repair, you're always going to go a couple inches past where the actual rust hole is. Just don't throw Bondo in it. I mean, do the job right. Cut the metal out, weld it in, use as little Bondo as possible. When you're doing that, it tells you you're doing a good job. Of course, this is kind of a different angle on the lip of this truck. You've got the contour of the body here, and then you've got this little lip right here. So that's always an issue. That's something to keep in mind when you're doing that. And you can see the inside fender well, nice and rusted out. But hey, you know what? It's still solid metal, and there's no pit holes in it. So I think we're good to go on that. All right, this is Tom with RTR, and that was Junior doing all the work. We'll be back in a little bit. So as luck would have it, running my big mouth and got my foot jammed down my throat, I wasn't paying attention to when I put the pattern of the big sheet metal on here because it was hanging down lower, so I missed my cut. The good thing is that the seams over here are pretty doggone straight except for this gap here. We had unforeseen rusted metal, whatever the case may be, so it's jagged, but that can be filled in. So what I'm going to do here, and it lines up really nice here. I could run several tacks here. One here, here, and then bridge the weld across here, and then cut right back here again, and then it'll fit in there. The rest of this can be done and pulled out as you go along. So the idea behind it is to have minimal Bondo. You always want to work the panel. You don't work the dent. You always want to work the panel so you get everything nice and pulled out. And as you tack multiple tacks in here, you take an air hose, which I'll be doing, and cool the welds off so you don't warp the metal. Because again, you're working the panel. If you're going to work the panel, you want the panel nice and straight as it should be. This is a slight curve inwards, and unfortunately, the replacement piece has a curve that goes like this, which I've since straightened out, and that always makes things a little interesting. But so what we're going to do is get that puppy all lined back up in there. In fact, I might go with this big gap here and get that one first, and then that's what I'm going to do. Yep, I'm going to take this gap here, pinch that in with a spot weld, boom, right there, right about there, and then I'll force this in because this is a longer point between A to B, and it's easier to manipulate. This is shorter, so it's going to be harder to bend. So you get the harder part knocked out, get it straightened up, a couple tacks in there, and then we'll work this back in there and tack that in. That's all for now. I'll be back when I'm ready to start tacking, and you'll see where I've gone with it. And so the next time you see it, there'll be some tacks here and some tacks here, and we'll have cut this in. If you want, you know what? I'll tell you what. We'll do the tacks here, and then I'll show cutting it back in here again, and it should sit right back in there nice. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks. Put a little bit of air on it. Keep the panels from warping. And then alternate from side to side, so you get this cool off, blow it off, come over here, get this, blow it off, and come back up here and start stitching the seams together. Got a heck of a gap here, but we'll have to fix that. Inside, and we're not going to replace the whole panel. We're just going to do this big chunk here. But bear with us. I'll get us all stitched up and it'll look different. And as we go, we'll alternate sides, top, bottom sides, and get this all stitched in, and then we'll come back and grind it down. And then hopefully we have a nice finished product. Right now there's no warpage in the panel, which is really super good. It's not where I want it to be, but it is what it is. And yeah, next time you guys see it, it'll look a heck of a lot better. It'll look like I actually know what I'm doing. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.
So as you can see, me and Tom got at it today. We got a lot of the body, well, pretty much most of the body work done as far as welding and putting in panels is concerned. Today was kind of just like a straight shot day. Didn't take much of any extra things. to get done today. Basically, we cut out this whole panel here. The video was kind of spotty just because we were trying to get it done at a decent time, get everything in there, get it as close as possible. You saw a lot of us. You saw us cutting it. You saw how to make a decent template out of it if you just lay the other piece on top instead of trying to make marks and measure and everything. I mean, some applications that's what you need to do. This one was nice because we had someone let us borrow a piece that's the actual wheel arch piece for these trucks that he was using, but he only needed this side of it, so he was nice enough to let us use this side of it. Actually, looks like Tom forgot it. You can see it sitting on top of the red toolbox over there. I'll move that so it's not on Dad's toolbox. But he'll be back. We'll be back probably tomorrow morning to clear out some of the imperfections on this bed here. I got a couple dimples to work out, and we are going to use a little bit of putty just to kind of mask all that. We did get really good contact here. We could have done a lot better. We didn't have any shielding gas. Well, we do, but we didn't have a regulator for it. So we kind of had to go with that. So it was a little bit slower than normal. If you did see in some of the videos, though, the snapshots I have for this video that are in there, just little snippets of him welding, we're not just running straight beads all the way across. We kind of have to dimple it in there bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. Just basically looks like a bunch of spot welds on top of each other instead of one solid line. That's because of these old beds and the aftermarket patch panels. I mean, this is actually a decent patch panel, but they're just too thin. If you go to run just a straight line, you're going to end up burning through. You're going to end up inconsistencies. You're not going to make full contact because everything's just going to get too hot and it's just going to go right through. So that's why you get kind of dimple, 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 dimple all the way through. Go over again, get your dimples, make sure you got solid contact all the way through, which you can see here. We definitely have full contact all the way through. So we're good there. It's not going anywhere. We were cooling down the metal throughout. I don't know if that was in any of the videos, but we had the air hose hooked up. Every couple of dimples cooling down the metal just because with how thin these are, we didn't want the panel or the bed itself to warp from the heat because it kind of ruins that straight line. And right now, I mean, we have no warpage on it. Tom was super excited about it. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited to get this thing probably puttied up. I don't know about primered again, sanded down imperfections, and primered again before the end of the week when Senior gets back. But we're going to have it pretty close. Either way, the bed's got to get on top of the truck later this week when Dad gets back to kind of fit something else in here real quick. Just to, I believe actually he has a video on it. The Jeep we did the motor in, it's finally getting picked up. We got to swap over wheels and tires, and this big hunk makes it to where it's in the way. So it'll at least be sitting on there. We'll end up having to pull it back off to do the paint on the back side and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, today's video was kind of splotchy, but we definitely need to get work done. It's got snippets of us. I tried to capture everything we did between the cutting, between grinding down, between tack welding everything in and burning everything in. Try to get as much as possible. I believe I've got an intro for this video too. I'll make sure we have that snipped in there for you. But yeah, so we're going to have some more videos later this week. Like I said, tomorrow, maybe it'll be uploaded. This video might be uploaded tomorrow. Dad might rush it and try to upload it tonight if he's got the time to. I know he's going to want to edit it together to where it's all in order because I'm about to be uploading him multiple videos in different pieces, for sure. But just kind of to take a second, we really appreciate you guys watching us do this kind of stuff. Right now, it's not any kind of monetization, not any kind of, we're not making any money off of this stuff. We're not getting sponsorships. Everything you see us do is either out of our pockets, out of his pockets, out of Tom's pockets, just to kind of get these projects together and make a name for RTR. Like I said, I mean, I do work with Auto Inc., but that's mainly normal vehicle service and, getting you some decent cars, especially the local area. We'll find some cars, we fix them up, make sure they're worthy for the road, and then get them out to people who need cars, first cars, commuters, whatever people want. That's kind of the more Auto Inc. side, especially with service. I mean, we do exhaust over there, we do sound systems over there. We don't get this in depth into bodywork over there. Maybe later down the road we will. But I mean, some light painting. I know Dan over there with me, he just painted his Tahoe. We don't have any content on that because Auto Inc. doesn't have a channel yet. No real reason to right now either. RTR is where my main priority is, other than doing some other stuff around, kind of, you know, we're trying to get the channel to the point where we can reach a lot more people, get the shorts out there, a lot of people liking, subscribing. It definitely helps out, especially because, like I said, we're not looking to get to the monetization point and making full-blown money out of this, but I mean, Dad's retiring soon. Tom is retired, doing some other things on his end with RTR and also for himself. I'm, you know, right now this is my only source of anything other than doing some side jobs and everything, doing some work on the side. Not really going to get too in detail with it, but a couple weeks ago I did lose my full-time employment where I was, which, you know, it is what it is. Companies do the things they do for reasons. It is what it is. But yeah, so right now RTR is kind of my full focus, getting the Trans Am out there, getting the S-10 out there to where I can, you know, advertise what we do. Dad's Trans Am, so you can talk to people, advertise what we do. Tom's Apache, again, advertise, show people what we can do. But I mean, we're going to be doing some restorations that are going to come out to you guys too. I mean, the long bed S-10, same generation as this guy, just the long bed. That one, we're going to try and get it in here, put a running motor in it, put, you know, V8 swap, whatever's on down the list for that. Get it out there, and I mean, that'll be a vehicle for sale. So we're definitely trying to. We want to get to the point where we can, you know, make merch for you guys. Definitely make more consistent videos for you guys. Right now, you've been seeing me a lot more on the channel because I'm more readily available at the moment. I'm not going back to another job right now. I want to go head in with this with Dad and Tom and get stuff going. But again, enough of that. Enough of the personal gripe there. Again, liking, subscribing, sharing to your friends, just getting info out. That's part of the reason this video was even made. We were really just gonna do this and then show you the painting video whenever it gets painted. But it was a better idea to kind of put this out there because, granted, it's not the most in-depth explanation of how to do patch panels. It's not the most in-depth tutorial. But, you know, you saw the steps. We didn't use any fancy grit of anything. I mean, we used a stripper disc, we used a flapper disc, and a cutting wheel. That's it. Don't fully Bondo your guys' rust holes and stuff like that. That's just, no curtains or anything. We did this in one day. We started at like 11:30 in the morning, and it's now 2:30, and we've already got this in. It's in. It's solid. It's ready to get, you know, some light mud, get some imperfections burn up, little dimples from the weld. You know, it's ready to go. Realistically, if we had worked the full day throughout, the putty stuff would already be done, and it would be ready to just be last sanded and primed over again, the whole bed. I may do a video on the bed liner that I'm gonna do. It's just gonna be a roll-on bed liner from a decent company. Tom, I believe, used it on the Apache. I don't know if he put out a video for the bed liner on that. But either way, I mean, it's gonna look nice at the end of the day, and we didn't want, I mean, like you saw in the previous video, we had a big hole right here that was just hiding under a bunch of Bondo. Nobody patch paneled, nobody anything, they just stuffed Bondo in, and there you go, there it is. They said it's fine, and then turned it into the graffiti practice table, graffiti practice bed, whatever you want to call it. And it sat like that for years. So, but now it's getting what it deserves, and it's going to match the rest of the truck. Bodywork done, and kind of, this wraps up the frame off restoration on that truck. This was the last thing. The frame had already been redone, suspension had already been redone, driveline already been redone, everything had been redone. Interior, that technically is the last step of the whole thing. But as far as bodywork and the big stuff, this was the last thing that fully makes that truck a frame off, which that's what we do. We're doing frame off restorations. We're doing resto mods like the LS swap, and the Trans Am. We're not, you know, we're just trying to branch out there. We definitely want to come up with some ideas for more types of videos. I know a lot of the videos with, you know, going out and seeing cars that haven't run, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you know, people getting them running, which I watch those channels every day of my life. It's definitely entertaining. It could be in the cards later on, stuff like that, especially like with like the Octarango that Dad has on the channel from a while ago that he pulled out, and we haven't really been able to touch it since. That's not one of those, you know, see if it drives 700 miles home. Hell no, the thing's got 10 wheels. That's not going to happen. Sorry. I know it'd be cool, but don't think we'd make it home just from a legal standpoint on that one. But we're coming up with ideas. We're definitely coming up with ideas. We've got our decals. I personally, as slightly younger generation, I know that merch is definitely the way to get some word out there, but we're trying to get word out there with the projects we're doing first, with the teaching moments, or with this is how you do this, or hey, this is freaking cool, let's put an LS in a Trans Am. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, like, subscribe, thank you guys very much, and we will see you at the next video.